What is good, you guys? In this video, I'm going to be going over why bulking is vaulted, why I'll never bulk again, and in 2025, it may be one of the dumbest things to do. Just think about it. Now we got dudes like Marlon and Duke Dennis walking around. You got these looks maxing edits all over TikTok. So is there really any room for error to be fat and let yourself go? I think not. So this video is going to be all about why I'll never bulk again, and what to do instead if you want to stay lean year-round but still add muscle and make progress. But first, this is what happens to most people. You start watching bodybuilders and then you fall into the bulking trap. They said bulking is the only way. They said in order to actually grow, you need to go through this soft phase where you get super big and puffy just so you can have an aesthetic physique. So I'm gonna break down why exactly I'll never bulk again and what to do instead if you want to stay lean but still make continuous progress year-round. And the whole industry made it seem like it was the only way to grow. And the funny thing is, they make it seem cool too. Like, you literally hear the terms eat big to get big, and there's like this big connotation on it too, where it's like cool, you know, like where it's like manly and masculine to eat a bunch of food. At my household, like if I'm cutting and maybe my family notices I'm not eating certain things, like they definitely don't say anything about it now, but in general I would definitely feel like they're not as encouraging, right, compared to maybe if I was to eat just a bunch of food and call it bulking, right? So that being said, since all of those things, I was literally scared that I'd stay small forever if I didn't bulk. And bulk I did, all right? So as you can see right here, it may not look super crazy, but I'm telling you right now, this is 1/3 of a box of Oreos cereal. Why was I eating this? Because I was told to bulk. I was told that cereal is great pre-workout and that, you know, it's quick digesting carbs, and you throw some protein in there and then boom, you know, now you have a perfect post-workout meal with protein and quick digesting carbs. But this is not considering micronutrients. This is not considering how it's going to affect your digestion, how it's going to affect your gut. It's super shallow thinking where all you care about is calories and your protein. But what actually happened from eating like this was I looked a lot worse. I was constantly bloated. Like, even though I was achieving my goal of weighing more, getting heavier, you know, getting jacked, the mirror was not telling me that, right? The scale said I was making progress. The mirror said, yo, you are going down a hole you don't want to go down. On top of that, I just felt super puffy even when I wasn't really eating, right? Since I wasn't giving my body time to digest, it always felt like I was super full. That's just a horrible feeling. Feel bogged down. You don't feel like you look good, and you definitely don't, right? You're inflamed. And that's not the place to be, especially like days and days and weeks on weeks and potentially months on end. That's how you get really unhealthy. And then on top of that, my skin broke out because when there is a lot of stress on your gut, it's going to show in your skin. Since I was consuming a bunch of processed foods that were super high in sugar and sodium, I was just constantly inflamed. And then on top of that, this is one of the worst things, dude. My face just got super puffy. Like, all the sharpness, the definition, the lines, like literally just left. And I didn't look like myself anymore. And that's like the number one thing, man. You take that away. You take the confidence of just looking at yourself dead in the eyes. I mean, that's not a good place to be. You know, you're not going to show up for yourself. You're not going to represent yourself in the way that you know you should. But here is what actually nobody tells you about dirty bulking. You're just eating empty calories and not nutrients. And because of that, your health's going to be thrown off. You're going to feel like booty. And when all you're eating is inflammatory foods that do not have any nutrients in them, it leads to gut issues, like I said, right? Skin issues, brain fog, everything you don't want by trying to focus on yourself, going to the gym. Like, that's not what you want. That's why diet is 80% of the progress, because it can drip into every aspect of life, every single thing that you do. So it doesn't matter if you're putting in the work at the gym if you're ignoring it all when it comes down to what you're doing in the kitchen. And the thing is, you're probably like, damn, like these foods are messed up. Like, that's crazy. It's doing all these bad things to me. And the reason being is because the people that make these foods, big food corporations, are designing the foods for profit, not for your progress, not with your health in mind, not with your well-being in mind. They don't really care about who you are, how healthy you are. All they care about is like if you can come back and buy their product. So they make everything sound as good as possible, right? You think about a lot of, let's say, mass-produced protein bars, things like that. Like, yes, they may have a lot of protein on paper. Yes, they may be low calorie on paper. But when it comes down to the nutrients, that's what really matters with keeping your body feeling at its best. So at the end of the day, it's really just justification and let yourself off the hook just so you can eat basically anything and everything. All of it is cope, man. It is a lie. All right, I'm telling y'all that right now. And with lean bulking, this is what it gave me instead. Number one, right, you have more energy, you're clearer, you have faster thinking, and that leads to a lot of things. So not only like excelling in your career, and for me, for example, with my content, it takes a lot of my mental energy to make it, right? To be on camera, to speak, to generate new ideas. So if I'm bulked up and all I have is brain fog and feeling just to lay down because I'm too full, like, that's not going to produce quality work. On top of that, better business, right? The same thing applies to my business. That focus, that presence, right? that stillness. That's what's gonna allow me to like work on my business, right? Stay focused for hours on end and actually get the things done that I need to get done. And better presence as well. Like, let's just be honest, right? People really do judge you on how you look. I'm not trying to be black pill. I'm not trying to do any of that. What I'm trying to say is that it's a first impression, right? It's your resume before you even speak, right? It's showing the other person exactly who you are, how important you take yourself, how serious you take yourself, and it's your just walking resume. You can take designer clothes away from someone, you can take their car away from them, but you can't take their physique from them. And that's the only thing that will show people that you put in the work, that you're willing to stay disciplined and delay temporary pleasure or comfort for something that you believe in. And that's one of the most valuable, priceless things that you cannot take away. And of course, I'm a lot more confident in my clothes. And when I'm shirtless, if I was bulked up, I would not be sitting right here chilling, laid back, right? But at least as of right now, it's not too bad. Got a little bit of fat on me, that's for sure, but we're still on our way, right? But hey, this is like, I'm not gonna get much fatter than this, right? Because that's what lean bulking is all about, being confident in your physique at all times and still make progress year round, still feel amazing. And one of the most important things, dude, is like, I can truly say that when I look in the mirror and look at myself, look at my physique, that I have a sense of fulfillment, right? That I have a sense of confidence. Whereas when I was bulked, I couldn't even look at myself in my eyes. Like, I literally did not want to see myself. I was not happy with who I was. And maybe it was cool being at the gym, right? Having a big pump and being really strong, right? But outside the gym, I felt like shit, right? Like, so what was the point when I'm spending maybe 2 hours in the gym, but all day outside the gym? There's no point in really risking all your confidence just to maybe have a sliver of it, you know? And the one thing about it, it's sustainable. I'm no longer trapped in this like bulk and cut cycle. Like, the last thing I want is to not feel like I'm in control. I've experienced this before, and what I really don't enjoy about bulking is you go out in public and someone asks you, yo, bro, are you bulking, right? But they'll say they won't say like that. They'll be like, yeah, yo, bro, you're bulking, like, you know? But they won't really say you look good, right? But they just notice you gain body fat, maybe even a little bit of fullness, whatever. Being asked that question, let's just be honest, dude. No one's impressed by the bulk. No one's impressed by maybe you being a little bit heavier, right? You're impressed when you walk in the room lean and sharp. Like, that commands respect. That is a version of yourself that performs at the highest of every single level. And when people see that you're not there, but previously you were, in their head, they're just like, he's sort of letting himself go, or he's going too far, but they won't tell you that. That's why you should never bulk, bro. These back and forth cycles between cut and bulk, it was ruining my confidence, I'll be honest. Because you feel so back, right? And then you're like, oh, I hate myself. And then it's like a cycle going on and on. But I'd rather just feel proud of myself and my physique each and every single day, every single living hour. And that's what lean bulking did give me. And yeah, so here's my protocol now, just to give you guys a little bit more value, something to take away, something to actually implement to your own life, to start seeing its progress as quick as like tomorrow. Actually, next week. Tomorrow will be a little too quick. So here's my protocol, all right? You want to be focusing on nutrient-dense foods, and that's always going to be better than that like high-calorie processed foods that are just loaded with sugar, just things that are boof, right? You want to avoid all that stuff. So what are nutrient-dense foods? Whole foods, foods with one ingredient to them. Something like a strawberry, right? What's in a strawberry? It's a fucking strawberry, right? There's only one ingredient. Potato, which is it's just potato, right? Ground beef. It's ground beef. Makes sense. What would that not look like? A Twinkie. Why? What the fuck is in a Twinkie? Bunch of high calorie boof. All right, so you want to skip those. And you want to make sure that you're eating for physical and mental performance, right? Not just for the pump. So with what I do, I'm not slamming carbs each and every single living hour, right? I am going to be, for example, eating a little bit lower carb until it is time to work out. Once it's time to lift, I'll eat some carbs. So in this way, I'm getting all the benefits from the carbs pre-workout, but I'm also getting the benefits from keeping it low carb, right? With my energy and my cognition when I'm doing my actual computer work. So pre and post workout is where you want to focus on carbs. And then on top of that, 90-10 clean eating. So some people say 80-20. I think 80-20, I mean, you can do better than that, right? 90-10, I think, is a perfect split. So 90% of the time, eating clean, whole foods, meals that you are used to, meals that you enjoy. And then 10% will also be other things that maybe you enjoy a little bit more, maybe that are a little bit less healthy, right? Some things that may be inflammatory, some things that maybe have like seed oils, right? You're eating out. A lot of these places have seed oils, and that's not something you want 90% of the time, but maybe 10% of the time, I think it's okay. Also, 100-300 calorie surplus. You want to keep that pretty foundational throughout your lean bulk, and you want to slowly raise the caloric intake by 100 to 200 calories every time your weight plateaus for 1 to 2 weeks. And use 2 rest days for cardio and as a low carb day, and have a slight deficit to your surplus days. I think 5 days training, 4 to 5 days training is a perfect spot to be in terms of getting the most recovery, right, and gaining the most muscle. And then from there, also, increase your insulin sensitivity, get your glucose levels a bit down, and just burn some more calories, right? Honestly, the most basic movements are going to be the best ones for you in terms of putting on the most muscle long term. And here's why I'll never go back to bulking at all. So number one, like I said, when I look in the mirror, I genuinely love who I am and how I present myself. And me personally, I'd rather look dialed year round than just chasing numbers on the scale just for the sake of maybe stroking my ego. And honestly, like I said, disguising that for discipline when in reality, it's just shitty eating habits and letting yourself off the hook. That is not discipline. That's the opposite of discipline. That's being complacent, right? That's what bulking is. It's literally complacency. And like I said, I want to look like I'm in control and constantly in a phase, right? Especially other people see that, they're like, this guy does not have a hold of himself. Although you might be like, oh, what about, like, why do you care about others' opinions? Well, dude, in business, in life, it's something that you have to take into account for sure. Your presentation, right? Everything has to be calculated to help bring you towards your goals, right? To help maximize relationships, to help get the most out of your life, right? Simple as that. And nobody's impressed by a bulk, like I said, right? I'll say it twice. But being lean and sharp, everyone will notice that. And you know this deep down. I know you do, right? Deep down in your core, even if you're watching this video, you're like, oh, fuck this kid. He's 140 pounds, soaking wet, victim weight, whatever. You can say whatever, right? You know deep down, deep in your core, the best version of you in all aspects, not just in the gym, not just on the bench press, but also in business, in school, with girls, in social scenarios. Like that version of you is best when you're lean, all right? The best version of you is when you are lean, you are sharp, you are present, not puffy and bulky and slow and heavy breathing and ugly. And that's why there is no going back, because I've already seen what being lean and on point does for my life. So once I've seen it, I can't go back, right? I can never go back. I can't go back. All right, that's where I'm at with that. That's why I'll stay lean and lean bulk for the rest of my life and focus on getting more athletic while still getting bigger, right? Killing all areas and not just being a one-faced bodybuilder. It's the last thing I want to be. So that being said, if you maybe are a bit skinnier right now and you have a harder time putting on lean muscle, or let's say you're skinny fat and you don't know exactly if you should lean bulk right now, if you're stuck in that limbo and you need a clear direction to achieve an aesthetic physique and get that nice V-taper build quick, I've done it for a lot of my clients, and that's actually what I do best if you're in those two scenarios. If you're a little bit overweight, I can definitely help you get locked in and help you lose that weight, but I'm really talking to more so the skinny fat guys or the guys that are a bit skinnier here, because that's truly what I do best. So for example, right here, my client Alejandro made an insane transformation. He gained a lot of muscle, and at the same time, this is only a 10-pound difference right here, but that's because he did a total recomp and absolutely transformed his look and how he feels. So just want to show y'all some of that real quick. But yeah, if you want to make a similar transformation, DM me Prosper on Instagram, or you can click the link in my description right below and book a one-on-one call with me. You'll have to fill out a form, answer some questions, and see if you qualify. But if you do, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the call and seeing how I can help. All right. But anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching this video. I hope it was of some value to y'all. Let me know what you guys want to see too as well next. And also too, let me know if you guys like these, like my row. I think it's the first time me doing like a video like this where like mic'd up and stuff like that, stream setup. Let me know if y'all like this style. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. And I appreciate y'all for watching. Stay tuned with the Instagram, stay tuned with the YouTube. We're going to be consistently posting. And yeah, boys, hope you have a good one. Stay blessed.